This week, the sky is giving emotional homecoming meets celestial nesting vibes, and we're all being invited to get soft, get real, get rooted into what truly matters. This week is not just about a transit. It is a whole tender revolution. Grab the cosmic Kleenex. I already know I'm going to be crying, all right? My cosmic cuties and my chaos queens, welcome back to another episode of Cosmic RX Radio. Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, MADI Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in. It's your girl, your high vibe hype woman, your master of the mystical mess, MADI Murphy. I'm also your cosmic coach who's going to help you cut through the bullshit to make room for more magic, okay? How are we feeling after that Gemini, new moon, supermoon vortex? Did anybody here flirt with a stranger? Did anybody here decide to start writing that book? Did anybody here start a chaotic group chat that you are now the ruler of with loves and memes, queens? I want to know it all. Did we have any cosmic connections? I had all of the above, I think. I also was really on fire. Our Cosmic Boss WhatsApp group is like the gas station. Everyone's getting hyped up. My phone's blowing up. Did some amazing podcast interviews this week. Had so much fun with my new publicist that we just hired. She literally made me cry. I met with my literary agent for the first time IRL. And we were having just a little daytime Pinot Gris and just being literary ladies in the city. And also Cosmic Connection. I was in the Hudson River Park taking my Scorpio baby to soccer practice, which is hilarious because he's 18 months old and it's just chaos. And I saw one of my favorite podcast hosts, and I literally fanned out, nerded out, and yelled his name, Rob Schroeder, Naughty But Nice podcast. It's kind of a guilty but not guilty pleasure of mine. It's just pop culture. It comes out every day. It's part of my morning routine. And I literally screamed out, if you know Rob Schroeder, please tell him that A, I'm not a psycho, and B, let's spill some celestial tea. Let's bring some planets into that pop culture podcast. Anyway, it was just the Gemini new moon was Gemini new mooning. So before we jump into this week's astro forecast, which is even more incredible and insane in the membrane, let's ground down with the other Mercury sign. Let's have a little, reminder vibe check, Virgo check-in housekeeping announcements. So if you're entering your Saturn return, you just started yours, your Saturn return in Aries, AKA what I have to say is the most cosmic, cuntiest transit of the decade. Yeah, it's giving boss, but it's also giving hey, I am just here to do me. And if you're not down for that, then you can bye-bye. This is kicked off. It's already starting. Of course, if you're in a Saturn and Aries, baby, your Saturn return you're going to get the cosmic sneak peek, and then you'll go in deeper later on, almost early 2026. But it's important to know now, okay, what are going to be the assignments? How do you stay in alignment? And luckily for you, we're hosting a live Saturn and Aries Thriving, Not Just Surviving workshop on June 11th. It's going to be live. Get in baddies. We're going to heal our sense of self and create disruption in our personal and collective karmic lines. It's going to be grounding. It's going to be clarifying. It's going to be full of juicy wisdom for not only what Saturn return is, but Saturn and Aries, what it means for everyone. Because guess what? Everyone, yeah, including you, everyone has Aries in their chart. And Saturn is coming to sit on that part of our chart and tell us to level up and take some real actionable steps and some grown-up responsibility in a fun way and some divine discipline to help us become our most fortified, fulfilled, authentic versions of ourselves. And we're going to get into what it means sign by sign. We're going to talk practices, rituals. We're just going to have a little support group, a little Q&A. So come on down if that sounds like something that's good for you. Of course, there'll be a replay. Of course, there'll be a PDF for my visual learners, a little workbook. We hook it up. Reminder, do you want a burning question answered in your DMs? Do you want me to slide into your DMs with some cosmic consultantry? Well, if you leave a review for this podcast with your IG handle, every week I pick a lucky winner for a little one-on-one time in the DMs. I've been having so much fun with this. It's such a win-win-win-win-win. Of course, we'd love to boost the podcast reviews because it boosts our visibility so more people can get their astro know-how, so we can all show up a little bit more regulated, a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more like in our heart, which we all need right now. But it also allows me to connect with you all, and it's super, super fun. I'm obsessed. So this week's winner is bum ba bum. Okay, is this an Instagram handle? Okay, it says, "Whoa, buddy, this game is cool," which is just like cracking me up. So if this is you, slide in my DMs. You just won a free burning question reading with me. Drop your chart info, what's on your mind, what's on your heart, and I will check your chart. But whoa, buddy said, weekly pick me up. MADI is my weekly cosmic consultant. Yes, I am at your service. My news anchor, bump, 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 bump. This just in. My friend, and my breath of fresh air. She is so educated and provides us with what we need to know in an easy and quick way on a weekly basis. I love that. I'm happy. Sometimes it doesn't feel quick, so I like that. I wouldn't feel right without it now. Oh, thank you, universe, for MADI. Okay, that's adorable. That is really just so sweet. I am literally obsessed with just all of y'all. Okay, so if you want to come find me, slide my DMs. If you want to get your burning question read by me, you know what to do. If you don't know what to do, then, rewind a few times and you'll hear it. Okay, so just let's check in. If you're ready to do any sort of collaboration with your higher self, if you want to have a little QT with your spirit guides, if you want to manifest with me, if you want to come hang in community and you want any exclusive weekly magic bonuses, including bonus podcast content, if you want rituals to work with the new and full moon, if you want tarot card spreads for the month, if you want all the astrology mapped out, in an easy at a glance look, come join our Cosmic RX Plus premium community. We just changed platforms. Audrey is always working with just her Gemini moon self to make the community more accessible, more delightful, more aesthetic, more easy to use, less tech clutter. So yeah, come check that out, and we'll be gathering for the new moon in Cancer, which I am so excited about, which is, part of what we're going to talk about later on with the big transit that's going down. But anyways, yes, come join. I think it'd be so appropriate to have our new moon in Cancer with Jupiter in Cancer gathering as part of a moon community. It just feels like the most delicious time to really activate a new phase, pun intended, of life. And moon, it represents everything, right? Manifesting, it represents connection to ourself, our womb, our soul. And it also represents being in community, being in circle. Lines and linear living are so patriarchy. It's giving so just I don't know, 1700s, 1800s. If you want to be, in that place of trading linear living for lunar living, if you want to come work with the moon, not for the man, come join our Lunarverse Cosmic RX Plus premium community. I promise you, you won't regret it. And I'm excited to meet you and get to know you more there. Speaking of the moon, let's chat about La Luna. Let's check about what the moon weather is, the emotional weather is for the week of June 2nd to 8th. So the day this podcast comes out, let's break it down baddie style, Monday, June 2nd to Wednesday, June 4th, the moon is in Virgo. So what I want you to think about is I want you to organize your spaces. I want you to think about some sort of gentle detox or declutter, whether that's mentally, emotionally, digitally, whatever. Clutter is the bad kind of chaos. Clutter blocks our intuition. It's ungrounding. Do some kind of editing into some of your spaces. Make them more sacred. What I don't want you to do those days, I want you to avoid overthinking. Overthinking kills the magic. I want you to notice where perfectionism is paralyzing you, is keeping you from taking aligned action. And then I just want you to show up messy and do it anyway and just see how good it feels to get some mystical momentum on board. Wednesday, June 4th to Friday, June 6th, the moon is in Libra. So I want you to think about beautifying your life. I want you to think about this is a great time to bring more aesthetics, more goddess energy to your wardrobe. You do an aesthetic IG dump. Just show us the beauty you're creating in your life. Romanticize your everyday life, harmonize your relationships. Like, let's just breathe some pearlescent beauty into our everyday lives. And then I want you to think about what not to do. Let's not avoid confrontation. If something comes up those days and you're just not feeling it, or you're feeling like you got a little stepped on, or someone, crossed a boundary with you, let's just air it out before it becomes a whole other thing. Okay. Like, keeping the peace, making the peace. I talk about it a lot. It's very, very different. Okay. Like, just shoving the peace below the surface and biting your lip so hard. That is not balance, babe. That's called emotional constipation. And you're the only one who truly suffers for it. Okay. So let's let it flow. Saturday, June 7th to Sunday, June 8th. It is a Scorpio moon weekend. It is freaking getting sexy. We are, in terms of self-care, diving deep. We are journaling like a fucking divine detective. We are taking sexy, soulful, spiritual self-care of ourselves. We can initiate intimacy. We can do rituals that help get us in touch with our erotic EQ, or even just doing a really good cry session with your bestie or in the mirror. Like, just go there, go below the surface, get raw, get real. Things that we're not going to want to do is we don't want to spiral into that secrecy that like is bad. It's hiding something in the shadow, shameful, like, that kind of icky feelings, or doing anything that feels like self-sabotage. And part of that does come from being real with yourself and others and letting people in, and vulnerability and intimacy. And also, like, if you want to do any kind of shadow work, like, look at something that feels uncomfortable. It's amazing shadow work. I'm going to call it shadow play. Let's have fun with it. It's a weekend after all. Okay, so let's talk about the main event here. Jupiter is about to enter Cancer, and I cannot wait to break down for you what this means. So, June 9th, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, we are in the next Jupiterian chapter. It's like giving welcome to your season of sacred soft girl expansion. This is what happens when the biggest planet returns home. Okay, celestial soul fam, let's talk about this big, big, big cosmic shift. Jupiter, right? Our planet of growth, blessings, our wisdom path, our big soul lessons, is entering Cancer, the sign of the cosmic crab, the mystical moonbeam, a sign that's associated with emotional intelligence, nurturance, home, nourishment, and the divine mother archetype. Okay? Speaking of Cancer and divine mother archetype, my 5-month-old decided he wants to join and chime in with messages for us. So I'm going to break down during this transit, this tender revolutionary time, exactly what you need to know, what it means, how we can work with this transit, what it might indicate for us collectively, and of course, personally. And I will wrap up with some journal prompts and 5 cosmic RXs so that you can really embody this energy and make the most of it. Jupiter stays in a sign for a year, for 12 months. It's kind of a delicious planetary transit. It's not too long. It's not too short. It shows us like where our path of most expansion, growth, soul abundance comes from for the next year. So let's get into it. Now, this is not any old transit. No, honey. Jupiter is said to be exalted in Cancer. Now, a lot of you know I don't subscribe to a lot of astrological ideologies, but let's have fun with this one. Being exalted in Cancer, I do agree. It's like it thrives here. It's comfy, it's cozy, it's powerful AF. Think of it like Jupiter is always out traveling and then so excited to come home. Or think of Jupiter in Cancer as like your cool, witchy auntie who, yes, just went on like a fabulous whirlwind of a trip or just inherited a cool beach house. And it's just inviting you over to bake amazing recipes for you, allow you to like cry on the porch swing. Yeah, maybe make you some fresh baked like ancestral sourdough bread, journal about your childhood wounds by candlelight, but all in a way that feels like fun and exciting. It's like expansion through coming home to ourselves. This transit is about being so emotionally well resourced that your comfort is not only cosmic, but it becomes contagious and you can't help but be that comforting, grounding source for other people. Okay, so Jupiter, as a reminder, refresh, expansion, optimism, divine wisdom. This is this time where Jupiter is going to ask us to expand upon what makes us feel emotionally safe, what makes us feel spiritually nourished, what makes us feel cosmically connected to home, and how can we show up as this great mother, MUTHA archetype for ourselves, our loved ones, our friends, and of course, our community and larger collective of all living beings on Earth at this time. Now, historically, Jupiter in Cancer has brought massive shifts to things on the collective level, such as your definition of what is a family, the housing market, emotional well-being. Oh, this is actually under this Jupiter transits, we've had things like legal recognition of LGBTQ plus families. We've had a lot of chosen families being honored. There's been growth and expansion in real estate, feminine leadership, publishing in feminine or femme adjacent thought leadership. And we'll get into some of the shadows of it on the collective level as well, right? Every sign, every transit is an octave. There are high vibrations and low vibrations. And this one, it's not just about nesting too. This is about taking radical emotional responsibility. This is about nurturing with action. This is about thinking bigger about how we get to feel safe and make other people feel safe. And this is not about waiting for someone else to do it for us. This is about building the damn emotional fortress yourself. Okay. We are going to be the mom friend. We're going to be the builder. We're going to be a writer, a healer, an emotional translator. We are doing all the things. And if you have a story to share that helps other people feel less alone, maybe making them part of your parasocial family. If you have words that want to heal, empower, comfort, or uplift the divine feminine or your divine inner child, do it. Because, like I said, Jupiter rules publishing. And we're really making a shift from the mental overload. And that was very much Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini bought very literal Jupiter and Gemini things. Like, let me know in the comments below what you might have seen. But Jupiter and Gemini, I think, brought so much new information, so many new news sources, so much in the media every day, flooding the zone. It's a thing. Gemini rules tariffs. Jupiter and Gemini definitely bought an expansion, almost like chaotic level of expansion around that. Jupiter and Gemini, I did think it really longer form content and words, more podcasts, more Substacks on the rise. And Jupiter, some traditional astrologers will say Jupiter does not love to be in Gemini. It's like too scattered, too many ideas. Or again, Jupiter is based archetypally on faith, on expansion, on kind of like leaping before you look, trusting that the cosmic zone feeling, leaving the comfort zone. Whereas Gemini tends to like to really have all the information before it makes a plan. Gemini is focused on the details. Gemini is a little bit more in that mind energy versus the heart space. So now as we transition from that, we can think about Jupiter in Cancer. What if we thought about the transition to this being soulful embodiment? What if Jupiter in Cancer was whispering to us, it's time to lead with your gut, trust your intuition, and build a life that feels yummy, like a warm candle-lit bath time, or like a high vibe hug for the heart. Okay. So like I said, the global level, we're definitely going to be expecting for the next year shifts in real estate, housing market, home values, and, this sense of maybe family policy reform, hopefully legislation around protecting children or people just stepping up to protect children or advocate for better rights for birthing people or reproductive rights. We probably will see nationalism spiking up. We might see a spike in things like along the trad wife trend we've seen, right? And I think we're going to see more people growing food, saving money, staying home, definitely reimagining what success means. This transit has sort of this feeling of like cocoon of care. But also, we have to remember, and this is very important, that comfort and the comfort zone isn't about complacency. Like knowing when comfort and safety can become like stagnation or even worse, a rejection of the other or a feeling of nostalgia that's almost like too much poison from the past. Like we're not ready to move forward. We're always here to move forward. And cancer is a reminder that cancer is fluid. Cancer is water, is the ocean. It's always in movement. It's always dynamic. We all know stagnant water, that's like just a recipe for, West Nile virus and mosquitoes. So we need to think about directing this power with intention, which is what cardinal water Cancer sign is all about. So let's break down some collective themes. Let's talk about, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Looking back to what was going on, getting into our cosmic hot tub time machine. What was going on for other previous past Jupiter and Cancer cycles? So they have brought, like I mentioned before, collective shifts around housing, emotional safety, family policies, the concept of a homeland security, caregiving as a superpower. So the last time Jupiter was in Cancer, and I want you to look back at what was going on in your life during this time, was June 2013 to July 2014. Chances are some kind of other theme is going to be arising in your life that was present or prevalent at that time. And because it's Jupiter, you probably have gone to the next level of it. It's like, maybe that was the 101 level. Now we're at the 201 level. But there is going to be something there, a similar thread, a common denominator. And on the collective level, we could think about this was the rise of tiny homes and van life. If you remember that, people began questioning, what does home actually mean? People started rethinking that. I noticed a lot. I just moved to Montauk, started a business, and I met a lot of people out there who were living in converted school buses, schoolies, vans, other things. And I was like, cool. The Black Lives Matter movement was founded. This was founded in a movement about protecting community, safety, belonging. Same-sex marriage became federally legal. Remember, love wins, love is love in several countries. And families of all kinds just began demanding recognition on different levels. Jupiter and Cancer before that, 2001, 2002, 9/11. So we have big global emphasis on homeland security, nationalism, xenophobia, yikes, but really like underrooted by a deep collective yearning to feel emotionally safe, to feel connected again, even as toxic and harmful as some of the outcomes might have been. And we saw some things during that time, slow living, I would say like even the concept of comfort television. And then if we go back before that, 1989 to 1990, there was just concepts of emotional transparency in media. There was talks of things like looking at the Berlin Wall fell, so reunification around homeland themes. So history is just giving us some clues here. This year-long cycle is definitely going to highlight certain things for us. I would imagine maybe housing reform, redefinition of home ownership. I hope that I see what they're doing in Austin. They've really done some zoning, tinker with the zoning laws to make housing more affordable, more accessible, to build more housing in a popular area. I hope we see more of that. I hope we see more of a deepened focus around family policies, everything from mental health, physical health, like I said, gun safety reform. And I would just love to see like a collective reparenting moment go on for all of us. I'm like, how nice would that be? One of my clients just wrote a beautiful book, Healing the Inner Child Within, Nina Mongeon, also published through Hay House. And I'm like, I think every world leader should read this book about connecting to your inner child and reparenting them. I also think a rise in emotional influencers is going to happen. I think we've been teasing out, I've been hearing whispers about like comfort creators, I think that like less than even luxury or aspirational living. I think people want to feel comfort. I think people want to also learn from people who help us feel, heal, and deal with these emotional times we're in. I think we're going to feel an increased visibility of what matriarchal power might look like, feel like, what's the embodiment of that, divine feminine leadership, community mothering, role models, like just that concept of not just mothers, but those who mother, the doulas of our dreams, the aunties, the chosen fam, the powerful women and holders of the femme, and really anyone except for white, straight, cisgendered men who are choosing to be at the front of societal change and who care more about collaboration over competition, who care more about care over extractive capitalism, who care about people over profits. And again, some of this, as always, like I share, is maybe more of a prayer from me also as well. And, getting and shifting into the personal level, like I said, this is not just a transit I want you to think about. This is this like return, this invitation into tenderness. So zooming in, what does Jupiter in Cancer mean for you personally? Well, first and foremost, I want you to look at where you have Cancer in your chart. Everyone has Cancer in their chart. And if you are, a Cancer rising like myself, this might be a moment where we're being called to step into the sunlight, into the spotlight all at once. If you are Cancer midheaven, you might be asked to like expand with flow and ease into a new level in your work life and maybe work with other women or again creators who hold emotional intelligence, collaborators who care about any of the themes I just mentioned. If you have Cancer in your fifth house, maybe you're growing a family or showing up in a way around your creativity and self-expression that feels really intuitive, really from the heart. Maybe you're sharing something from your childhood. And in general, for all of us, I want you to think about like softness, this tender word I keep using, like your softness is a spell. Your softness is strength. Your capacity to care without self-sacrificing or being a martyr is how you become a super attractor. This is the year to really get clear, to really commit to not just healing your inner child, but having fun with them and taking them everywhere, taking them on the journey and, expanding your outer world while tending to your inner world and getting really cozy with your cosmic blueprint, getting really in tune with your intuition and, just thinking about like some playful but powerful ways this could show up for you in real life talk is you could start parenting yourself like the loving, creative, witchy, progressive mother maybe you never had. Like maybe you're writing yourself fun affirmations in your lunchbox. Maybe you're encouraging yourself to set boundaries and saying that how good it feels to say no and making, yourself soup like a sacred art form. And maybe you're really getting in tune and in touch with your home vibe, like create an altar in your kitchen, make a cozy corner for yourself that's just for screen free creativity. I've seen some great creators who really make some cozy nooks that make my inner child go, wow, I want that, right? Like cozy lighting, a big oversized chair, soft blankets, maybe like special markers and a coloring book. I want you to like, get candles and throw pillows, textures for your home that just says like abundance lives here. Okay. And all who live here are abundant. You can also like schedule, and this sounds funny, but do schedule text for careful, conscious connection. Schedule a calendar of texts from you to your friends you care about the most. It's hard communication. I know this as much as anyone. It's busy. You want to check in on those you love, but maybe you are like me and you think to do it at 1 a.m. or you think about it like, but you're also like, oh, I know they're having a really busy day. So maybe I'll wait to the end of the day and then it never happens. We can schedule a text now. So why don't you just schedule a text? Say like, how's your heart today? Thinking of you and your magic. Vibe check. How are we doing? Or like, hey, did you eat today? Reminder, drink some water, take a deep breath. And how do we do this in a way that's not clingy? It's not smothering. It's about like being this emotional heart for your crew and really just checking in, especially on your strong friends, especially on the ones who tend to do like the mothering for everyone else. And I want you to think of, finding a new love language and something that feels really comforting. And it could be a return to something you loved growing up, right? Maybe it's something cooking, making homemade cookies, or like I said, soup. Soup always feels so nourishing to me. I think for the cancer chapter of my book, I just kept thinking of like a soup recipe because my mom made the most fantastic soups, like huge, huge pots of soup. And it was just like so good for us, so nourishing. My friends loved coming over. And honestly, the best part of soup is getting some kind of hunk of freshly baked bread and some Kerrygold Irish butter and slathering that on and dipping it in the soup, right? This is Jupiter in Cancer. Okay. This is what I want us to think about. Maybe you want to start a garden. Like, let's do that. And maybe the stuff from the garden goes in the soup, even better. Maybe you want to create like a criterion collection of movies you loved growing up that make your inner child feel safe, but inspired and excited. We are nurturing our nervous systems like Cancer queens under this Jupiter in Cancer. I want you to get in touch with your vagus nerve. If you haven't, I want you to look at things like breath work and tapping and anything that just helps us regulate that nervous system, right? Because we are constantly co-regulating with the world, and we probably want the world to co-regulate with us. I want you to, Jupiter in Cancer, think about like what are really easy, easeful ways that I can create rituals of nourishment for myself, especially rituals that connect me to my roots, to my foundation. And it could be journaling with your ancestors. It could be doing like a blessing for yourself, a cleansing every time you're in the shower, taking a bath. I want you to think about like that divine feminine, maybe making a beautiful altar of finding a goddess that speaks to your soul and making a corner of your house or your room just like an altar and dedication to that, right? So this is the year to really remember all of this, like this softness as our strength, that it's not weak to feel, to heal. And vulnerability is not a passive thing, right? It's a powerful thing. It's courageous. It's magnetic. And it's a rebellion right now in a world that is aiming to profit off of our disconnection, of our disillusionment, of our feeling of like, I just can't care. I have to disassociate. It's like, no, Jupiter in Cancer is here to support you in feeling, in building a business or a service that feels like a sanctuary, in like sharing stories and songs that feel like lullabies for our collective soul. It's for, curating and creating a lifestyle on purpose that prioritizes emotional intelligence, fluency, radical softness, community care, like, our crew is our chosen fam. And it's also a time for you to think about like, what does success look like? I think we think about success a lot in Capricorn terms. And Capricorn can be the more like quantifiable success in terms of the spreadsheets and the numbers and the data and the KPIs. But Cancer helps us define success. Cancer actually has a lot to do with money and flow and abundance and the, Cancer ocean currents, currency of energy, how they flow from us, to us, through us. And Cancer is like, how does success really feel for us? Like, what feels like success, safety, abundance? And this is a great year to reevaluate and reignite, reassess like what that looks like to you and reassess your relationship to success, to money, and to look at like a life that's not just about hustle, culture, grinding harder, like booked and busy. What about like, success as feeling deeply at home in your life, of feeling safe and happy with what you have, about having harmonious relationships. And honestly, this is also a year if you've been having rifts in your family, if there's been strife, in some of your family dynamics, this year has potentiality to bring a lot of healing, a lot of revealing, a lot of clearing. And, in terms of just thinking about some journal prompts or card pulls, again, we're trying to expand our emotional world. And I feel like journaling and card pulling is a great way to shine that Jupiter flashlight there and find some articulation. So you could ask, like, where do I need to feel more emotionally safe before I expand? That is definitely like the number one indicator I feel like of self-sabotage is like, it doesn't feel safe in my nervous system to expand, whether these are stories we told ourselves, right? Like I'm not going to be accepted. If I start to feel too successful, or if I have a lot of money, bad things are going to happen, or I'm just going to lose it. Or if I'm more visible, then I'm going to be under more attack and scrutiny. Like, and these are kind of things that are constantly running through our system, whether it's conscious, subconscious, unconscious. That's one prompt I want you to think about. Where do I need to feel more emotionally safe before I expand? And I also would love to see some journaling prompts of like, what does my dream of a home look like, but more importantly, feel like? What is the energy I want people to feel when they walk into my home? What's the energy I want to feel when I walk into my home? I want you to think about a journal prompt of like, how can I mother myself? How can I speak to myself like I am a beautiful, divine child of light? And maybe it's either repeating things that you heard in your childhood that you haven't heard in a while, or maybe it's telling yourself and your inner child the things that you never heard growing up. Again, my client Nina's book, I'm going to grab it. It's right here. She has a deck, Healing the Inner Child Oracle. But this Reclaiming Your Inner Child book is truly filled with like the most gorgeous practices, tools, wisdom. It's all very practical. She goes into everything from family constellation work, again, card pulls, working with music and fragrance. And it's just such a beautiful compilation. So this is the year, Jupiter in Cancer, to do that kind of work. And I also want you to think about, what is the ancestral wisdom that lives in my bones that's ready to come out and be embodied now? What in me is ancient and is ready to come online now? And that could be something from your earthly ancestry in your lineage, from your culture of origin, from your family, or it could be from your collective culture, from like your homeland, or it could be from like a spiritual lineage or an identity lineage. But like, what is something that you are not the first person to do this? You have the heart and strength and heat of like 10,000 ancestors behind you in this. And like, what is that? And how can you honor them by bringing it out, but also know that they are honoring you and supporting you in doing that? It is a very powerful thing to remember or to realize how deep our roots go and that we are not alone in this. We're not like, what was that, Kamala? What do you think, you fell from a coconut tree? Like, we didn't just fall from a coconut tree. Hello. And so, as we think about those journal prompts, I want you to also, if you're looking for some cosmic RXs, some planetary prescriptions to align with this Jupiter in Cancer, to get in touch with your highest and hottest self, I want you to think about, create like your comfort codes. Okay. I want you to create codes for yourself of what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel seen, what makes you feel supported. Notice it with awareness. You don't have to rush it, right? But just like as things come up, what feels cozy to you? What feels like a warm hug? Like, oh God, I'm just imagining like even the feeling of cleaning, doing a deep clean of my place, lighting a candle and curling up with like a book or a home cooked meal. Everything looks, feels clean. It makes me feel so grounded. It makes me feel so at home. It makes me feel so cared for, right? I want you to make a list of this, like this playlist, and I want you to come back to your list over and over again. I want you to build this code, and then I want you to build your life around it and use that as your cosmic blueprint of like, you need those things, okay? You deserve to feel comfortable and safe. And as long as it doesn't hurt anybody or harm anybody, like, you need what you need. That is part of this Jupiter in Cancer transit, is just Jupiter in Cancer transit. I can't talk. Is like being really comfortable with just putting yourself first before you pour out into everybody else's cup. It's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. You can't pour from an empty cup. And it's hard when we're in that place of the empty cup, when we start to feel like we're running on E, or we're getting a little brittle, or our nervous system is getting dysregulated. It's hard to know how to come back, right? That's when the ocean of our inner world, our ocean of emotion, turns into kind of that tsunami. And tsunami, Piper, no. We start to feel like we're a piece of driftwood, afloat in this ocean. And the fact of the matter is you are the ocean. You are the motherfucking ocean. You are very powerful. So that also leads me to my second cosmic RX, is in addition to your comfort codes, what do you come back to when you get dysregulated, when that ocean starts to feel like chaotic? How do you remember that you are not a driftwood piece? You are not adrift. You are like that trident in the middle of the ocean where the ocean can start to swirl around you. You are the ocean. This comes a lot from boundaries. So Saturn and Pisces taught us a lot around boundaries, around our magic, our spirituality, our art, our sense of self, our inner child. And now Jupiter in Cancer is like, can we expand upon that and almost move from boundary, not as a feeling of like, I think boundary kind of implies that we're like on the defense a little bit, like, oh, we're protecting against someone else's energy. And that is true sometimes. But this is not just about protecting your energy, it's directing your energy. It's remembering that Cancer gets this really bad rap in the zodiac and in like the meme culture of being a crybaby. And like, yeah, Cancer's in touch with their feelings, but it's not that. Cancer is powerful. Cancer is power. Cancer is, like I said, the motherfucking ocean. And I'm pretty respectfully terrified of the ocean. It's powerful, okay? And Cancer energy, when it's water that's being directed at something and it knows what its yeses and nos are, and it holds that pose and it doesn't allow other people to dilute or distract or deflect that energy. And you have those boundaries in place and you really apply that energy to something and not worry about everyone else's feelings and how it's going to be received. It's very powerful. Okay. So I want you to think about that as your, second cosmic RX. You are the ocean, the boundaries that are here, not just to protect your energy, but to direct your energy, and that you don't have to be influenced by all the energy around you. In fact, cardinal water, Cancer energy is at best when it remembers that it influences the room. Okay. Like you influence the room with your energy. So third cosmic RX, I want you to deepen your emotional literacy. I want you to go to school. Jupiter rules wisdom. I want you to go to emotional intelligence school boot camp this year. I want you to, if you've never been in therapy, I want you to start therapy. If you're in therapy, I want you to practice honest and radical sharing with other people in your life and your therapist. Okay, therapy only works if you're honest with your therapist. I want you to read books about emotional intelligence. I want you to study things like the feelings wheel. I want us to understand like what we're feeling. When we can name something, we can really like own it, and then we can clear it and we can move on. We can get the tools. We rise by feeling, and we're only going to rise together if we all can just allow ourselves to feel things and allow ourselves to understand what we're feeling and what we're going through and get the tools to let it flow. Emotions are energy in motion. They are meant to be in motion, but instead, a lot of us have been taught to suppress or repress our emotions, and then they get stuck and stagnant and sticky and heavy, and then they live in our body, and then they usually show up as some kind of dis-ease because we're not at ease with ourselves. And it all just can be avoided by understanding that everyone has big emotions, everyone has big feelings, and nothing is wrong with us, but it is up to us to understand them, right? And help them move through us. Your fourth cosmic RX is, I want you to think about like, I teased at this before, but I want you to think about some sort of like invest in your nest, whether this is gearing up to do some kind of renovation, remodel of your current home. If you've been feeling like it's time to move or live somewhere new, whether it's just, hanging up those pictures that are on the ground and you moved into your apartment or home 2 years ago, like whether it's fixing, repairing the little things that are broken around your home, whether that's adding sun catchers to your morning sunny nook, or like I said, starting a garden. How can you invest in your nest? Your home should be a sacred sanctuary. Your external home is such a reflection and a representation of your inner home and your inner world. And when we take care of our homes, it's like we're saying we're taking care of our souls and ourselves. So invest in your nest, baby. Okay, and then my last and final cosmic RX, and this is for Jupiter in Cancer, and it's kind of like playing off of Jupiter in Gemini. I want you to write, publish, share your intuitive wisdom, your emotional wisdom. I also, conversely, I want you to read and consume the wisdom of other people's shared experiences, especially women, especially people who are holders and keepers of the femme energy or helping us in our emotional intelligence. If you've been dreaming of publishing something heartfelt, now is the time, right? Like, if you want to share something in your inner mother tongue, whether that's your actual like native language or your inner mother tongue of your heart space, please, if you want to offer something to our collective that is offering some sort of soothing, putting the tender baby worried head of the collective on your warm, heart beating bosom of a soul and just saying, it's okay, baby. I know it's crazy out there, but I got you. I see you. We're going to get through this together. Please do it, whether it's a post, a podcast, whether it is art, whether it is starting a community crew, a moon circle. Like, can you just help people feel not as alone in this fucked up world? And with all that being said, I'm going to add a bonus cosmic RX. I talked about this a little bit on the If Astrology Isn't Real for this past going into the Jupiter in Cancer transit for the May 30th episode. But like, this is the time, this is the year where I hope we see, a rise in some sort of matriarchal leadership. But I also, like everything with Pluto and Aquarius, it starts with us, in us. And we have to start looking at everyone as if they're our family, as if they were our, if we're connected to them by blood. We have to look at the world's children like our own children. We have to think about like when one child is in harm's way, when they are being terrorized or starved or threatened in any way, psychologically, physically, that affects us and our children. And, I do believe that Jupiter in Cancer is going to see a movement of people who, again, who are actual mothers or people who mother others, really rising and being like, you know what, y'all, patriarchal freaking lame nuts have not done anything, and you've just extracted and exploited this world and her precious resources, and you've chosen profits over people. And like, we are tired, we are angry as a mother, and now you're going to deal with our wrath. And like, I hope that I'm calling that in, but if there's a way for you to bring that into your own world in some sort of embodied way, I just invite you. I invite you to do it. And I think Jupiter is going to have some beautiful, expansive rewards for you as you do that. So in closing, whether you are starting a garden, whether you are launching a podcast about chosen family or modern family, whether you are just, investing in industrial amounts of Epsom salt to take lots and lots of baths and soaks, or deciding this is the year that you really heal that mother wound, this is it. Jupiter in Cancer is your planetary permission slip to lead with heart from the heart, to trust your gut, to let your intuition guide you. And don't forget, we're here, Cosmic RX Plus Premium, if you want to manifest with the moon, if you want to gather in circle, if you want to learn more about what it truly means to like live some of these practices we're talking about. I didn't even say it, but Jupiter in Cancer is the time to start a moon manifesting practice to live in the lunar way of life if you haven't started that already. So yes, let me know in the comments below how Jupiter in Cancer is showing up for you already, where you have Cancer in your chart. And until next time, trust your gut, nurture your magic, and remember that the cosmos has your back like a weighted blanket in Cancer season, but for a whole year. And of course, I'm sending you some celestial sparkle and stardust for those big, fat, juicy checks and hot, fulfilling, safe, consensual, cozy, toe curling sex. We're doing this journey together, and that's on that. Bye, everyone. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.